Welcome to My Weekly Mixtape, a podcast that takes the classic mixtape approach to building a modern playlist. I'm your host, Brian Colburn. Joining me once again as guest curator is Patreon mixtaper David Lee Smith. David, great to have you back on the show, man.
It's great to be hanging out with you again, man.
The last time you and I talked was, believe it or not, all the way back on episode 27, which was the ultimate Stevie Ray Vaughan playlist, which is a very popular episode amongst blues fans that listen to My Weekly Mixtape. And tonight, we're going to stay in that bluesy realm, and surprisingly enough, we're also going to stay in Texas with, well, that little old band from Texas, ZZ Top. How hard was it for you to whittle down 15 studio albums for your bank of songs this evening?
Oh, well, in comparison to the Stevie Ray Vaughan episode, which the Stevie Ray Vaughan catalog is minimal compared to the ZZ Top catalog. So we got a lot more songs to work with here this time. So I wanted to kind of do what I did with the Stevie Ray Vaughan episode, kind of maybe sprinkle in a couple of their hit songs and a couple of the deeper cuts, and try to at least not be too heavy on certain albums, maybe one song per album, to at least kind of spice things up a bit. So kind of like a similar process as from the Stevie Ray Vaughan episode. So, but just a lot more to work with here.
Yeah, between the box sets and the sheer amount of compilation albums that ZZ Top has put out over the years, there are obviously the quote-unquote hits. And I think we might shock some people tonight because not all the hits might get represented, because I also dug a little deeper and went into some of the songs that I feel like, while there are some hits that deserve to be there and will be there, there are some other songs I feel like fall under that underrated category and deserve to get a little love.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because, you know, every band has their hits, and, well, I wouldn't say every band, because there are obviously those under the radar bands that not everyone's going to know about. But most bands will have their hits and deeper cuts. So, you know, ZZ Top's no different.
And we'll try to strike that balance tonight. But with that said, let's get down to business. As I mentioned at the top of the show, David and I will be curating the ultimate ZZ Top mixtape, and we'll use the old cassette deck approach. David, as my special guest, will begin side A with his first song choice, and then I'll add a song that I feel best follows up that choice. We'll then flip-flop choosing songs until we've mapped out 10 songs for side A. We'll then give our mixtape a proverbial flip, and we'll map out side B, only this time I'll kick things off with David choosing second. Our overall goal for the episode is to craft the best ZZ Top mixtape possible through only 20 songs. At the end of the show, you can take our conversation to the next level by visiting the episode page at myweeklymixtape.com to give our final mixtape a listen via the embedded playlist. And if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or, like David here, becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/myweeklymixtape. And a few of the Patreon mixtapers that aren't David chimed in with the songs they would use to kick things off tonight, and I want to give a shout out to a few of those. Tom Hutchinson chimed in with Got Me Under Pressure from Eliminator. And sticking with Eliminator, both Philip Bergman and Chad LaMassa chimed in with Legs, and Philip tossed in Sharp Dressed Man as well. Sean Goff chimed in with the, quote, very 80s sounding Rough Boy off of Afterburner, saying he knows it's more of a John Waite meets Bryan Adams, but 13-year-old Sean loved it, and that album has always stuck with him. And Sean's not alone, because Mike Daly also chimed in with Rough Boy, saying he happened to win all of the CDs up through Recycler from an upstate New York radio station back in the 90s, and Rough Boy would be his pick so he could ease someone into the band and then let loose after that. And then finally, Brandon from Virginia chimed in saying, let's go with some deep cuts, let's go old school, and let's go with Just Got Paid or Heard It on the X. Once again, if you'd like to chime in for future My Weekly Mixtape episodes, come join the fellow mixtapers at patreon.com/myweeklymixtape. Now, David, I hope this isn't too rough boy. But I'm passing the mic over to you to chime in with your first song choice of the evening.
Thank you for that dad joke. Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. Okay, so like what we did for the Playlist Wars episode for ZZ Top, I'm going to start off this mixtape the same way I started off my little playlist for the Playlist Wars episode. I'm going to start off from the first song off their third album, Tres Hombres, my favorite ZZ Top album. We kind of talked about this on Twitter, and you read my mind about this. It's Have Mercy, Been Waiting for the Bus All Day. You know, just a simple but yet fantastic, memorable riff that stays in your head. It's awesome. Billy Gibbons' guitar tone's excellent. And Dusty, the now late great Dusty Hill, and Frank Beard are filling their roles so well as the rhythm section for that three-piece band. And, you know, the guitar solo is fantastic. The harmonica solo is awesome. And it just goes back to the riff, and it just suddenly stops and it transitions to that next song, but I'm not going to spoil it. But, you know, just a fantastic way to start an album. And I think it's a fantastic way to start this little mixtape here.
Have Mercy. And I'm just going to say, for the first time ever on my weekly mixtape, I'm not even going to comment on the song you chose, because I am just going to go right into track 2, because there's no way you could start with Waiting for the Bus without immediately following it up with the band's cover of Viva Las Vegas from their great... No, I'm just kidding. I am immediately going with Jesus Just Left Chicago. These two songs are meant to be one. As far as I'm concerned, this is actually track 1 in my mind, because on my phone, I have both songs ripped as one track, because let's just be honest, you're not supposed to listen to these songs separated from each other. Now, in 2013, Houston Chronicle entertainment writer Andrew Dansby wrote that the merging of the songs was actually not the plan, and the engineer made a mistake and spliced the songs too close together, thus causing what you hear on the album. However, in 2017, Terry Manning, the actual album engineer and the person who performed said edit, wrote in a blog post that it was indeed not an accident. And the key change, everything about it just feels, it's so jarring. It really grabs your attention. Not only grabs isn't the right word. It demands your attention, because Waiting for the Bus has that ZZ Top swagger. And Jesus Just Left Chicago brings in that blues element of the band. So, I mean, if you're looking for a little bit of what ZZ Top is about, the swagger and the blues, I don't think there's a better way to start than the power duo, if you want to call it, from Tres Hombres, Waiting for the Bus, Jesus Just Left Chicago. And you know me and my cover songs, there's no shortage for either one of these. In 2002, Hank Williams Jr. covered both songs together on the Sharp Dressed Men, a tribute to ZZ Top album. And in 2011, Daughtry covered the songs, again combined, on ZZ Top, a tribute from Friends. Now, breaking the songs apart, Boo, Fish covered Jesus Just Left Chicago, Sans Bus on their 97 live album, Slip, Stitch, and Pass. And in 2001, Government Mule also covered a busless Chicago on their Hidden Treasure CDs, which makes me think the jam bands want to lean a little bit more into the Jesus Just Left Chicago thing. But man, the two songs need to be together as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed. I mean, I could ask my buddy Lou from the Ridiculous Rock Record Reviews podcast, because I know he's a big Fish fan, and I know Fish did cover Jesus Just Left Chicago.
Yes.
So, I know the jam bands kind of do that sort of thing. But yes, I agree with you. They need to be together. One of the things that Jesus Just Left Chicago actually added on that Tres Hombres album was not just the blues element, like you said, but a gospel feel to it as well.
Yes.
Because that's not the only song that has that kind of gospel connection to it on that album. And I might kind of shove one in there just to give a more better example of the gospel feel. But yeah, those two songs together, just kicking off Tres Hombres, is just wow. I mean, breathtaking in my opinion.
And assuming you're not going to follow up with Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers like Tres Hombres, What are you going to follow up Waiting for the Bus and Jesus Just Left Chicago with on our mixtape?
As much as I want to put that song on there, because that is just that song is a scorch fest, and it's one of my favorites off that album. But uh I think I'm gonna go back to their first album, ZZ Top's first album. Fantastic name for a debut album, but
Yes.
I feel kind of bad for saying that I thought that the band didn't have their stuff together by the first album when we did that Playlist Wars episode. I take that comment back because maybe it's because I didn't have enough time with the first album, but now that I have, I want to put a rather surprising pick that they also put on that Raw, that little band from Texas soundtrack, and that is Certified Blues.
Nice.
One of their more underrated cuts. Another great riff. Vocals are great. And that's another solid solo. And, I love how the song ends with revisiting that little lick that they do in the transitions between the chorus and the verses. So it's a fantastic way to end that song. And I think it's such an interesting choice to put on that little band from Texas soundtrack. So very underrated cut, in my opinion.
I feel like people overlook the first album because it doesn't have that massive fan favorite like a Just Got Paid
Right.
from Rio Grande Mud, or obviously all the hits off of Tres Hombres.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of one of those overlooked albums, and it's ridiculously underrated, but I do have to give my PSA here. Don't be fooled by certain CDs when you go to buy this album. A lot of pressings of this album were remixed in the 80s to give it that post-Eliminator sound. And especially if you buy the ZZ Top 6-pack album, they're completely remixed and they sound like they're from the Eliminator era. In order to hear the way the band intended this song to sound, you need to pick up the 2013 box set, the complete studio albums, 1970 to 1990, because the sound, the mastering, everything is exactly as the band intended. And it's that true 70s blues rock sound. When you add that compressed 80s drum to it, it really, in my humble opinion, sucks the life out of the song, and you don't want to do that.
I was going to point that out. Thank you for bringing up the 6-pack thing, because I know this is maybe a controversial take, but I agree with you. The whole programmed drums to make it sound like the Eliminator drum sound, not very happy with that. But I will say, some of the songs where it has that beefy guitars or the reverb guitars, I actually honestly don't hate because, I'm a guitar guy. So, I don't have too much of a problem with the guitars, but I do agree with you on the drums. The drum sound sucks the life out of them for sure.
Yeah, and I think in hindsight, I feel like it was the label really trying to jump on the massive, massive success of Eliminator instead of just letting people go back and discover the brilliance that is ZZ Top, because ZZ Top, in my humble opinion, has eras. They have their 70s era, which is very truly defined. It's a distinct sound, as is their 80s era, and as is their 90s and beyond era. And I think to complement Certified Blues, which is from ZZ Top's first album, I'm going to jump all the way to the other end of the spectrum. And I'm going to go to the band's final official studio album. We're going to go to 2012, and we're going to go with La Futura. And believe it or not, it's actually a cover of a hip-hop song that came out in 1998 called 25 Lighters, which was released by DJ DMD featuring Little Kiki and Fat Pat. Now, I'm a sucker for cover songs. And what I love about cover songs is when a band takes it, flips it on its ear, reinvents it, and makes it their own to the point that you can listen to both songs back to back and think you're listening to two entirely different songs. And on I Gots to Get Paid, again, an album opener and a cover song. So it's checking off all the Brian Colburn boxes here. Cover song be damned. This is a ZZ Top song. It fits perfectly with anything from their entire catalog. And what I love about the latter era of this band, there is a swagger that I want to say kind of started a little bit on Antenna, but really started shining through on Rhythmine and on. There is a swagger that is brought out. And unfortunately, the only thing I don't like about La Futura is the brick walling that unfortunately everything Rick Rubin touched around this time, he kind of did. But the songs are strong. The songs are amazing. And I feel like coming out of Certified Blues, hopping to I Gots to Get Paid is a interesting jump that's going to give people a little bit of a jolt, so to speak. Like, whoa, what the hell was that? We've gone 4 songs and we haven't touched on the 80s yet.
Hey, don't worry. Hang on. We'll get to it. Hang on. Just chill for a little bit, people. We'll get to them. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you about La Futura. It's guilty of the brick wall production, courtesy of Rick Rubin. But I Got to Get Paid. I mean, it's the lead single from the album, and it's I first heard it. I first heard the song and saw the video. Well, I guess part of the video due to Guitar Hero Live, because I'm a Guitar Hero guy, and I give it all the credit for helping me embrace rock and roll, especially during my teenage years. But you know, I've always been a ZZ Top fan because I grew up with their hits. But aside from that, I Got to Get Paid, I've always liked. And you know, yeah, it's cemented with ZZ Top at this point. They're always going to play it in their set list from here to the end of time, or whenever they decide to call it quits. I mean, over 50 years later, I mean, think about it. ZZ Top, the only band I can think of that 50 years without a single lineup change until the passing of the now late great Dusty Hill. I mean, I don't think any other band out there is going to even touch that. That's a milestone for them, but they're going to keep playing that song until they hang it up. And, you know, it's a very good cover song. I mean, they do good cover songs anyway. So it fits in with their catalog.
And now you get to follow that up. We got 2 from Tres Hombres, ZZ Top's first album, and La Futura. Where do we go from here? Are we going to bring the 80s in now?
Well, the people are going to have to wait a little bit longer. So, but not to worry. We promise you, we will get them. If you're going to bring in I Gots to Get Paid, so how about we go to Rio Grande Mud? You know what? I'm hoping we're not coming across as greedy people here, but if you got to get paid, then I'm Just Got to Get Paid from Rio Grande Mud with Just Got Paid. I mean, it's one of their, I guess, aside from, since we talked about ZZ Top's first album, where it didn't have the big hits, well, I guess Brown Sugar would be the most popular song from that album because it's the song that they still play today. Just Got Paid, I hear on the radio every now and then, especially at work. I mean, yet another fantastic Billy Gibbons riff, cool bass lines from Dusty, and a fantastic slide guitar solo. And I'm a sucker for some good old blues rock guitar slide. Billy Gibbons is no different, folks. Another one of their stellar hits that deserves to be in their set list and keep playing until they hang it up. So another fantastic song.
And what's funny is you said it's one of their hits, and I completely and utterly agree with you. However, technically, it's not a quote-unquote hit because the band never released it as a single, even though it's on several of their greatest hits compilations. This was an album cut that just took off because, let's be honest, it's one of the most badass ZZ Top riffs ever.
Yes.
And yeah, it made itself a hit. It didn't need the label to push it. The people spoke, and this became a ZZ Top staple because of that.
But then again, even though there are some songs that you hear on the radio that were not singles, like Stairway to Heaven was not a single, and yet you hear that all the time. There are some other songs out there that were not actual radio singles that you hear on the radio. Just Got Paid's not a single, yet you hear it on the radio. So I'll take the whole hit thing back and I'll say staple.
Staple, hit, whatever you want to call it, it's a masterpiece of ZZ Top as far as I'm concerned. And I'll be honest, the label got it wrong. There's a reason Just Got Paid is in every ZZ Top set list since the album came out. It is part of their core of who they are as a band. And I'm so glad you chose that one because it makes things a little easier on me because I obviously had that on my list. And musicians love this song. because there's a ton of cover versions as well. Once again, we talked about that Sharp Dressed Men, a tribute to ZZ Top. In 2002, Montgomery Gentry covered it. Ministry and the Co-Conspirators covered the song in an industrial version. In 2009, Mastodon with Billy Gibbons covered the song for Covered A Revolution in Sound. And in the same year, recent My Weekly Mixtape guest Joe Bonamassa covered the song on his Live from the Royal Albert Hall CD. And then, look, Government Mule, we talked about them before. Once again, 2016, Telstar Session CD, they covered it there again. Obviously, Warren Haynes has nothing but love for Billy Gibbons and the rest of ZZ Top, and he shows it, he wears it on his sleeve, and deservedly so, because that riff, again, one of the most badass ZZ Top riffs ever.
It's absolutely infectious, no doubt about it. I mean, but then again, anyone who falls into that blues rock genre are going to put Billy Gibbons up on that pedestal, even though Billy Gibbons is not going to let that distract him, because, you know, he's a humble dude and I respect that a lot out of him. So, but then again, a lot of the blues rock folks are going to put him up on that pedestal without question.
Agreed. I mean, if you go back to the Ultimate Modern Blues Rock episode with Jax Hollow, she talked about when she did the cruise that she was on, the one thing she wanted out of that whole cruise was to sit and talk music with Billy Gibbons. That was like on her bucket list. And it's obviously on a lot of musicians' bucket lists.
Sure.
Well, just got paid. Yeah. I'm going to continue playing chicken with this 80s ZZ Top train. People are starting to sweat. They're starting to pull their collars out a little bit. They're starting to get concerned. But we're going to go to 1975's Fandango next. And this song was last played live by the band in 2013. And according to setlist.fm, it's been played approximately, because not every set list is there, approximately 110 times by the band. So to put that into some perspective for those listening, Sharp Dressed Man, Gimme All Your Lovin', and our first two tracks of the night, Waiting for the Bus and Jesus Just Left Chicago, have all been played by ZZ Top over 1,600 times. So you might call this a deep cut, but there's a groove there that's just, well, as the song title says, nasty and funky. We're going with Nasty Dogs and Funky Kings from Fandango. In 2008, The Sword covered the song on their Gods of the Earth album. This song, literally, the title just says it all. There's nothing more I need to add. Nasty and funky.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for picking that, because I had this from my bucket list from the Fandango album. Thank you. Round of applause to you, sir. And I want to give a shout out to former Ridiculous Rock Record Reviews podcast host, the great Aaron Martell, because he actually chimed in with that song in the playlist where ZZ Top. I'm thinking that's probably his favorite ZZ Top song. So Aaron, that's for you, big man. So Nasty Dogs and Funky Kings, you know, fantastic groove, fantastic riffs, Billy Gibbons telling it like it is, and a cool groove with the solo too, and a fantastic cover version by, I'm surprised you didn't even point this man out, Pat Travers.
Oh my God, you're right. Thank you.
Yes. Over the years, I've become more of a Pat Travers fan. He covered Nasty Dogs and Funky Kings along with Waiting for the Bus and Jesus Just Left Chicago. He loves his blues rock. So, and he does those super well. I think Pat Travers is another one of those criminally underrated guys, even though he's been around for a long time. That surprised me how he's not talked about so much, but except for those that in the know. But man, he's the real deal as far as I'm concerned. And he does Nasty Dogs and Funky Kings so well too. So gotta give him props.
100%. I need to revoke my cover song card. You know what? I just need to end the show. Thank you, folks. It's been a great run. I dropped the ball. Oh, what a great, thank you for that one. Definitely look up Pat Travers' cover. That is a badass cover too. But I mean, yes, the original is there. I mean, the groundwork was laid.
Absolutely.
So we're at track 7. We have not touched the 80s yet. Are we continuing to play chicken with The 80s train.
I'm enjoying this game of chicken here, man. Let's keep it going. Let's keep this train rolling, baby. Okay, I mean, we got so many great rock songs so far, but I want to kind of give us a little change of pace. I want to at least point out another great song that I think ZZ Top excels at, and that's the blues rock ballad. So I want to go back to Tres Hombres, and I promise you, I'm not being so heavy on this album, but as I mentioned with Jesus Just Left Chicago, with ZZ Top pointing out the gospel connection, Hot, Blue, and Righteous has that gospel
Nice.
connection too. It's a fantastic, well done blues rock ballad. And like I said, I think ZZ Top does the ballad so well. And, a lot of blues ballads I think are very well done because obviously the blues is passion, it's emotion, it's intense passion and emotion. So Hot, Blue, and Righteous is so beautiful. It's a nice gospel blues tune. And it captivates me every time I hear it. I mean, sure, there may be I guess, no solo in the song, but Billy Gibbons coming across like a preacher. I mean, he is the Reverend Billy Gibbons after all. So coming across like a preacher with Dusty backing him up on some instances in the verses is just so utterly captivating. And I've always loved it so much. So Hot, Blue, and Righteous.
Now, for those that actually have this on vinyl, this is what I like to call a master class in an album closing track. I always talk about album openers because with CDs, you always get the album opener and you get the final album closer. But with vinyl, you used to get the side closer. And the side closer had to be a song that was powerful enough to whet your appetite to want to flip the album over and listen to side two. And Hot, Blue, and Righteous is just that. It really grabs your attention, and it's a stamp at the end of an amazing album side for the band. Whereas when you listen to it on the CD, it's kind of just the halfway mark. It's still just as powerful in that moment. But on vinyl, when I listened to this growing up as a kid, man, it just spoke to you. Almost like you said, it's in that gospel vibe. It literally spoke to you and made you feel like there's so much more to this album yet to come. And there obviously is on side B. So absolutely love the pick. But coming out of something that's a little slower, a little more gospel-y, I feel like we need to kind of kick it back up again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course.
But I'm having a little too much fun playing chicken with this train. So I'm going to just teeter that 80s line and go to 1979 just to be just as obnoxious as I possibly can. And I'm going to knock the wall down like the Kool-Aid man and just go, oh yeah, 1979 Diguelo. We're going to go with Cheap Sunglasses. Reached number 29 on the Billboard US Hot 100. Let's just get into that sound that, let's be honest, will bring you into that 80s ZZ Top sound that all of the other Patreon mixtapers chimed in with. But as far as I'm concerned, Cheap Sunglasses is an anthem. And it is definitely one of those transition songs that take you from that 70s blues rock that the band is known for up through, hell, even a lot of Diguelo still has it, but it definitely transitions you to what you're about to get to on El Loco and then even more so on Eliminator. So I feel like this is a great way to kind of bring us towards the era that a lot of people are really, really waiting for right now.
That's a good call. And, this is probably going to turn into one of the best games of all time. Playing chicken with the 80s ZZ Top, and I love it. So, but yes, thank you for bringing up Cheap Sunglasses. I had that on my bucket list. So I know I don't have my webcam on, but I did take my actual ZZ Top glasses that I bought from the official store, and I just put them on just for that song, man. And I hear it at work every now and then. It's, again, we're bringing back the funky, the riffs, the way that Billy Gibbons just delivers the song, and just an infectious solo near the end that is just, It's like a guitar's paradise right there, man. It's just so, so good.
It's so musical. In 1988, EPMD sampled the track in You're a Customer. And then in 2011, we talked about ZZ Top, a tribute from Friends earlier. The amazing Wolf Mother covered this song and did a killer job of it. It's just one of those riffs that, oh God, it just grabs on and never lets go.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Well, you have one song left for side A.
Chugga, 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 chugga. The train's still going, baby. Let's keep it up, man. We're almost at the end of our first side, so let's keep it on just a little longer. I think we'll go to Tejas this time. Probably my favorite song off of this album. From what I could gather on the internet, the lyrics to this song point out it tells a story, I think, of like a shady character or a drug dealer of sorts. And I think another criminally underrated, overlooked song of theirs, El and the Hombre called El Diablo. The vibe is just so cool. Billy tells the story very well. The way he sings it is just screams cool to my ears. And again, another song that lacks a solo. But you know what? I don't care. It grabs you. It's awesome, I think. So El Diablo from Tejas, criminally underrated.
Even though the album went gold, I think Tejas might very well be ZZ Top's most underrated album. I mean, you had hits, you had It's Only Love and Arrested for Driving While Blind, but I feel like this album, maybe along with their first album, almost get overlooked by kind of the massive nature of some of the other albums in their discography, like Rio Grande Mud, Tres Hombres, Fandango, Deguelo. I feel like Tejas gets overlooked, and it's a shame because the album's incredible.
Absolutely. I mean, there are obviously some overlooked gems on that album too. And to the best of my knowledge, I think it contains the only instrumental that the band has ever done for the album closer, Asleep in the Desert. So it's an interesting album, no doubt about it.
So we're up to track 10.
What's it going to be, man?
At this point, I just got to go and I'm going to play chicken, and we're going to go an entire side without a single 80s ZZ Top song. And I am going to go with another album opener.
You did it.
We did it. We did it. And I want to apologize, but trust me, we'll make up for it on side B.
Yes.
I'm going to go to 1994's Antenna and go with another album opener that just blows my mind. And we're going to go with Pincushion. Reached number 1 on the Billboard US mainstream rock charts and number 24 on the US Bubbling Under Hot 100 singles. It was also a hit on the other side of the pond, reaching number 15 on the UK singles chart. To me, I feel like this song's important because this song is the start of the quote-unquote latter era ZZ Top, where all these songs had this blues swagger to them, but there's this pivot from the 80s sheen. There's still elements of that 80s vibe on Antenna, but the album is definitely heading towards that latter era sound that they would achieve on Rhythmine onwards. Plus, the guitar solo, dirty. It's just so dirty. So closing out side A, and yes, not a single 80s song. Somehow, David, you and I made this happen. And I don't know if we should be applauding ourselves or running for cover, but Pincushion to close out side A.
As long as we promise that we will fill the list with the 80s songs, I think they'll forgive us. I think they will forgive us. But thank you for pointing out Pincushion, because I had that on here as well. I was glad that I actually put that on the Playlist Wars episode, because the reason I say that is because not only is it a badass song, and, like you said, ZZ Top maintained their identity even through the 90s onward with their blues rock swagger, despite grunge coming up at that time. So they maintain their identity, they maintain who they are, and a fantastic, dirty riff, guitar lover's wet dream right there, I think. So the outro solo is awesome. Billy Gibbons, of course, being Billy Gibbons, vocally and guitar playing wise. And another thing is because that you and Gomez had Pincushion as your honorable mention. So Yay, I got Brian Coleman and then Gomez riding my coattails on Pincushion. So love it.
Well,
I
that was
love it.
one that was in my bank of songs as I was trying to whittle it down, and I couldn't make it happen on
Right.
Playlist War. So obviously had to tip the hat there, but my weekly mixtape's a whole new ball game, baby. And
Yeah.
closing out this side, I feel like there's just no better way. And there you have it, folks. Side A of the ultimate ZZ Top mixtape, which kicked off with the 1-2 punch of Waiting for the Bus and Jesus Just Left Chicago from Tres Hombres, Certified Blues from ZZ Top's first album, I Gots to Get Paid from La Futura, Just Got Paid from Rio Grande Mud, Nasty Dogs and Funky Kings from Fandango, Hot Blue and Righteous from Tres Hombres, Cheap Sunglasses from Deguelo, El Diablo from Tejas, and Pincushion from Antenna. Head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page. And here we go, side B. Now this time, David, I am taking that chicken and just running right into the train, because if I'm going to kick off a side, I got to kick off the side with an album opener that is the album opener that blew my mind as a child. It's the song that introduced me to ZZ Top. I spent hours staring at the cover of 1983's Eliminator. The album is Diamond. It is ZZ Top's finest hour, at least album sales wise.
Yes.
And we are going to go with a drum beat that to me is up there with Aerosmith's Walk This Way as a memorable drum open. You know exactly what's about to happen. Gimme All Your Lovin' to start off side B, diving right into the 80s. Once again, cover songs galore. In 2002, country group Lone Star covered the song on the Sharp Dressed Men tribute I mentioned earlier. And in 2007, former My Weekly Mixtape guest Walter Trout covered the song on the Southern Rock Madness compilation, which we talked about if you want to go back and listen to episode 60 when Walter was a guest on the show. And then Filter in 2011 covered it on the ZZ Top, a tribute from Friends. And then if you want something a little more out there, in 2018, bluegrass band Steven Seagulls covered the song on the Grangeville LP. Gimme All Your Lovin' is just one of those songs that, to me, if we did a ZZ Top playlist and didn't include this song, I feel like we'd be doing the band a disservice. Eliminator had to be talked about, and it's just one of those anthems from the band. Again, I had mentioned 1,600 times this song has been played live, and I don't see any concert from here to when the band ends that it won't be.
So there you go, people. You got your wish. But yeah, I mean, of course, we had to include that. And thank you. Because, it's one of the songs that a lot of people got into ZZ Top about. Because obviously, Eliminator is Diamond album. They hit the mother lode with that album. It's obviously a big product of the times of the early 80s with the drum machines and the just the production of it all. And from doing the research on the Eliminator album review that I did with Ridiculous Rock Record Reviews back near the end of 2020, Frank Beard and Dusty Hill were not involved with the album because the band were obviously taking different influences into their music a little bit. So Billy's kind of doing that whole beats per minute deal. So you can't deny this is the song that a lot of people got into ZZ Top for. It's absolutely undeniable. It's one of their big songs. And this song, along with some of the other songs from this album, was called the Eliminator Trio of music videos. And I gotta say, their music videos are absolute comic gold. And I love that about ZZ Top. I love that about a lot of many bands that actually have a big sense of humor. ZZ Top is absolutely no different, man. You got to have that sense of humor. So what can be said about Gimme All Your Lovin', except it's one of their most popular songs. And then obviously they're going to keep playing that until they hang it up.
And now you get to follow it up with track 2. Are we going to stay in the 80s here?
Well, we finally got it off our list. So let's go into Recycler. And I'm happy I got to experience the band playing the song live in 2022. I'm shuffling through the Texas sand, but my head's in Mississippi. I mean, it's a single. It's one of their underrated singles, I think, because, it's obviously not Gimme All Your Lovin' or any other big songs that they put out. But I mean, it's got that fantastic Billy Gibbons guitar tone, Billy delivering the vocals in a humorous manner, great guitar solo. It's one of their obviously another one of their great ZZ Top songs. And I was very happy I got to experience this song live because ZZ Top seems like they don't really, well, they mix their set list every now and then, but just not often because obviously they're going to play the big songs, obviously the Eliminator singles and other staples, whatnot. But My Head's in Mississippi, I think, is one of their overlooked in terms of singles, but it's a fantastic song, no doubt about that.
Reached #1 on the Billboard Album Rocks chart and even charted in Australia. It was only 166, but still on the other side of the world, charted in Australia. Fantastic song with the B-side, A Fool for Your Stockings, which is another bluesy,
yes,
great from the band. And I should probably throw in that I do understand the fact that Recycler came out in 1990, but there's this gray area for me that is 1990. Maybe it's, I don't know, it's just where I was musically. There are so many albums that came out in 1990 that I associate with the 1980s just based on production style and sound.
Yeah.
I even sometimes refer to it as 1980-90 when I'm talking about albums from either 89 or 90. So yes, I understand Recycler is technically a 1990s ZZ Top album, but I've always lumped it in with the 80s ZZ Top because the sound on Recycler versus the sound on Antenna is 80s to 90s. There is a definite pivot between those two albums.
Yes, I was about to point that out. Thank you. So, but in terms of their production style, absolutely.
I have a song from Recycler in my list as well, but I haven't decided quite if it's going to fit yet or not. But for now, to follow up My Head's in Mississippi, I'm going to go all the way back to 1981, and I'm going to go to El Loco. Now, I know most people are probably thinking I'm going to go with Pearl Necklace because that is probably the single they think of when they think of El Loco. But I am going to go with what I consider to be the most underrated single. It's made their greatest hits albums, but it only reached 103 on the Billboard US Bubbling Under Hot 100 singles, and it hit #4 on the mainstream rock tracks chart. To me, this is ZZ Top with all of their humor front and center. Tube Snake Boogie, get your mind out of the gutter. The song is not one long innuendo. It's actually lingo for a surfboard or a boogie board. Think about that the next time you listen to the lyrics. But this one is so much fun. It's got such a groove, and it's a little outside of the ZZ Top box. It has that beach-esque feel to it, which is different from anything in their catalog. I feel like this is one of those songs that really sticks out for that very reason. And I feel like to give listeners a true encapsulation of what ZZ Top is as a band, I feel like we have to go with something like Tube Snake Boogie because you brought the gospel aspect in on the other side with Hot Blue and Righteous. Let's bring out their humorous side in Tube Snake Boogie.
I wouldn't be surprised if this second side would be like the whole 80s and humorous side of ZZ Top. So, I mean, if it keeps going down that path, then hey, why not? Let's go for it. So, yeah, I mean, Tube Snake Boogie, I mean, yeah, because Pearl Necklace, obviously the big song from El Loco. And I did see them play Pearl Necklace. It was fantastic also. But, I mean, hey, the whole set was great. I mean, what can you expect from ZZ Top? That whole concert was great. So, but yeah, I mean, Tube Snake Boogie, obviously, has that beach feel to it, but you can still put it in that ZZ Top flair, obviously. Well, because of Billy Gibbons' guitar tone, really, because it's so distinctive that it fits in with him. So, the licks that he throws in there, so it fits in. And obviously the whole humor that he brings in. I mean, as a matter of fact, that's one of those El Loco, meaning the crazy one in Spanish. They went to town on that album. They were just having a ball and having a blast with that album. So they have a couple humorous songs on that album.
All right, man, we've got Gimme All Your Lovin' from Eliminator, My Head's in Mississippi from Recycler, and Tube Snake Boogie from El Loco. Where are we going from here?
I think we should go and put in Afterburner. Now, this is not my favorite ZZ Top album, but I don't hate it. Now, I'm happy that the production doesn't overpower the guitars on the album. If it did, I would have a different opinion for it, for sure. But there are some quality tunes on that album. You can't deny that. And I don't care. I may call this a guilty pleasure, but I know you say there are no such thing as guilty pleasures, so I don't care. The groove, the beat, it'll get your butt shaking, your hips flowing around. We're going to do the Velcro Fly up in here.
Nice.
Another funny, I mean, the song itself is great. The music video is hysterical. And I think I may have heard this song back when I was a kid because I remember that whole say yeah, yeah hook that sprinkles in the song every now and then because I may have heard that a couple times, but I just didn't know it was ZZ Top. But you can't deny the groove is infectious. You know, Billy Gibbons is still doing his thing under there. And like I said, if the guitars were not so forward in the mix, I would have a different opinion on the album. But his guitars are still there, and you can't take that away. So it's a fun song. The video is hilarious. So let's do the Velcro Fly up in here.
All right. You know, a lot of the Patreon mixtapers chimed in with Rough Boy from the same album. Big, big, big in the 1985-1986 range. Song peaked at number 15 on the Billboard Mainstream Rock Chart, number 35 on the Hot 100. Believe it or not, Velcro Fly, the band's last top 40 hit. So it's actually an important song in their history.
Yeah, I could have went with Rough Boy because, again, that's another song that they played when I went to that concert with Jeff Beck on stage, believe it or not. I mean, because you know, I think Jeff Beck may be a huge fan of that song because they always seem to pull him on stage when they play Rough Boy. I mean, I won't argue about that. I mean, it's a fantastic song. Like, I chimed in with Rough Boy a couple times. Like, I think if I remember correctly, you did maybe like an 80s ballad episode on one of your podcasts, and I chimed in with Rough Boy, and I love that song too. I mean, because really the guitar solo obviously carries that song. You can't take that away. But I thought I'd go something with, you know, maybe a little unexpected. Well, maybe not so much unexpected because it's, like you said, it's what their last top 40 hit, but, you know, it's undeniable. You can't take that away from them.
Not at all. And I think I'm going to follow it up with something that might be a little bit of a deeper cut, but I'm going to go off of Eliminator. So is anything a deep cut when you're coming from the Eliminator album? That is a rhetorical question. I don't know if you would consider any track from Eliminator to be deep, but this was a song that was not a single. However, I'm not the biggest movie guy in the world, and I know Gomez will stand up and applaud me for this one. This song was featured in the movie One Crazy Summer, and I loved that movie growing up. And I was so stoked because after the movie was over, I begged my parents to see if there was any chance we can go to the record store so I could pick up the soundtrack to One Crazy Summer. Thank God they said no, because had they taken me, I would have been very disappointed to find out that there never was, nor probably ever will be, a soundtrack release from this movie. There should be, because the soundtrack in One Crazy Summer is awesome. But my father did say, why would you want to go out and buy the soundtrack when you already own the song? And he pulled out our copy of Eliminator and he dropped the needle on my next pick, Dirty Dog. This song rocks. It does have that 80s vibe that we're going for here on side 2, even though we included a slight dip of the toe into the 1990s water, if you will, with My Head's in Mississippi from Recycler. But it's one of those songs I think is underrated because everybody thinks about the Gimme All Your Lovin', Sharp Dressed Man, Legs, Got Me Under Pressure. Dirty Dog is up there with all of those songs, and I'm actually shocked it wasn't a single. So I want to give it some love in our mixtape tonight by following up Velcro Fly with Dirty Dog.
And I'm right there with you. I think Dirty Dog is pretty underrated on Eliminator. Even though I'll be honest, side 1 for me on that album is much stronger than that of side 2. Side 2 does kind of lose steam a little bit for me, even though the songs, I don't hate them, but they do kind of lose steam a little bit for me. But no doubt, Dirty Dog is heavy, pretty heavy in terms of Eliminator. Billy Gibbons' guitar tone, making dog noises, and calling out a woman that did him wrong by calling her a scurvy dog. You know, another good Billy Gibbons solo. So yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I think it's a good song. One of the better songs from side two of Eliminator.
So then we're back to you for the second half of side B and track 6. What do you got?
Hmm. This one's going to be totally out of left field, but you know what? That's the out of left field side. Let's keep it going, man. I don't care. Let's go back to Dig Away-O, my second favorite ZZ Top album. And do you want to talk about ZZ Top humor? Let's go. What's a, I forgot, I can't give the credit for this, but I did see this from a writer who called this song, quote unquote, ZZ Top meets Frank Zappa. And we're going to go with Manic Mechanic.
Nice.
I just, I don't care. I mean, this one's way out of left field. It's hilarious from start to finish. And I crack up every single time the way Billy Gibbons delivers the vocals. It cracks me up. I mean, because really, these guys had such great chemistry. They had great sense of humor, which I adore about them. And I proudly sing along every single time he blurts out the vocals. It just never gets old for me. And I don't care. We're just going to keep getting wacky up in here. So let's go drive off into the sunset with the Manic Mechanic, man.
Wow. Oh my God. I was debating going back to DeGuelo because this is 1979. So I was like, oh, we could kind of like, we did 1990, which was 1 year out of the 80s. I could go 1979 and go with I Thank You. But now that you brought Manic Mechanic into the fold, oh, man, this is tough. This is really tough. That's a great song, though. Great pick. So I don't think I'm going to go with I Thank You, even though I love that song.
It was tough for me to pick another song from Diablo because to me, Tres Hombres and Diablo are perfect albums. They're 5-star albums for me. And I could have picked any song from those two albums. So it was tough for me. But, since humor is such a big deal in terms of ZZ Top, we have to bring it in. We just got to.
Oh, yeah, we've definitely spotlighted their humorous side on side B. And I think I'm going to, double down on the movie side as well while we continue here. And I'm going to go back to 1990s Recycler, as well as the soundtrack to Back to the Future 3. And we're going to go Doubleback to follow up Manic Mechanic. The band played the song in an Old West style in the movie when they cameoed, but the studio version plays over the credits. Reached number 1 on the Billboard US album rock chart. It was there for 5 weeks. It also reached number 29 on the UK singles chart and was nominated for an MTV Video Music Award in 1990 for Best Video from a Film, back when MTV actually played videos. Fun fact about Doubleback, the B-side to the single. They went with Just Got Paid from Rio Grande Mud as the B-side. Smart move, label.
That's not the first time where I've seen a B-side from a band taking a song from an album that's completely in the past, like Van Halen. I think the B-side for Hot for Teacher was Little Dreamer from Van Halen 1.
Yes.
So that's pretty odd, making the B-side be a song from a completely different album. So, but hey, I'm not a label person, so who am I to say? But Doubleback, since Gomez obviously established himself as a big movie guy, that was a shock that he didn't put that song on his list when we did that episode.
But I feel like this is redemption for him as well by me choosing it tonight.
There you go, Gomez. Hopefully we made you happy with our mixtape here so far. So, I mean, yeah, it's a great way to close off Recycler with Doubleback. It's a very solid tune. And yeah, the cameo of ZZ Top and Back to the Future 3, it's a nice little cameo for those guys. So, and a very, very good tune from, I think, is another underrated album.
All right. Humor in movies and movies in humor. Where do we go from here?
Well, we're getting very close to the end already. Huh.
Yeah.
This song obviously is very undeniable too, and has a little bit of that humor at the same time. Very few lyrics in it, but we've got to do it. We have to put Grange from Tres Hombres. It's one of their best jams. The way Billy delivers the vocals, you know what I'm talking about. I could sing along to that Absolutely. I've never done karaoke before. If I ever do karaoke in like somewhere here in Texas, I think LaGrange would probably be one of the first ones I pull out because, you don't even have to have a good range to sing ZZ Top songs. And plus, there are very few words, so I can pull that off. No questions asked, I'm sure. But other than that, LaGrange is one of their undeniable iconic tunes. The riff was from John Lee Hooker's Boogie Chillin', except also I want to put in a Rolling Stones connection, Shake Your Hips from the Exile on Main Street album.
Yes.
Obviously has that dun 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 feel to it. Now I don't know if ZZ Top ever credited the Rolling Stones for that, but like you said, the whole John Lee Hooker thing was where they got it from. So, the riff, the Billy Gibbons solo, the vocals, you can't deny. Obviously, one of their staples. So, what can be said about LaGrange?
What could be said about it's a how, how. That's what you say
How,
about
how.
Reached number 41 on the Billboard US Hot 100, and in 2020 re-entered the charts and hit number 12 on the Billboard US Hot Rock and Alternative Songs chart, due in part to that Little Old Band from Texas documentary, which if you haven't seen it, please go back and watch that. And once again, we have to bring up movies. It was used in Shanghai Noon, Striptease, Armageddon, and The Dukes of Hazzard, among probably several others. You know my cover versions. 1983, Hank Williams on his Strong Stuff album did a version of the song. We've talked about The Sharp Dressed Men, a tribute to ZZ Top. Tracy Byrd, one of my favorite 90s country singers, covered the song in 2002. And in 2005, Guitar Shredders, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, and John Petrucci covered the track on the G3 Live from Tokyo album. Absolutely a necessity to be on this playlist. We have to hit some of the big hits here. We've gone a little deeper than I expected throughout this episode, so bringing it back to LaGrange, I feel like was a smart move. Blues Traveler, another guest on My Weekly Mixtape, has covered LaGrange throughout the years. This song is an anthem. This song deserves to be on the playlist. And following it up, we're going to stick with the big hits. At least I am. And we're going to go back to 1983's Eliminator, because as I was a kid, these were the memories that were etched into my mind before I learned more about ZZ Top. And when I was 5 years old, I wanted to dress up. Why? Because every girl's crazy about a sharp dress, man. 56 on the Billboard US Hot 100, number 8 on the mainstream rock tracks chart. And just like the last song we talked about, LaGrange re-entered the charts in 2020 and hit number 14 on the US Hot Rock and Alternative Songs chart, again due to that documentary. In 2009, Guitar World ranked the song number 43 on the list of the 50 greatest guitar solos of all time. I mean, it's definitely one of the 50 most memorable guitar solos of all time. There are some Billy Gibbons solos I personally enjoy more. However, I understand why its importance was here, because it's one of the band's biggest hits. And I know I mentioned this back on the Playlist Wars episode, but I got to mention it again. Steve Moore, a.k.a. the Mad Drummer. The viral video where he's showing off his drumming talents, if you will, behind Rick Kay and the All-Nighters. I'll make sure to re-embed that video on the episode page at myweeklymixtape.com if you haven't seen it and you need a laugh for the day. But we have to include some of the hits. And I know there's some that have fallen through the cracks right now. Legs being one of them right off the top of my head. ZZ Top is a tough band if you're trying to strike that balance between the big hits and some of the deeper cuts. I think we're doing a really good job of it. But yeah, we definitely needed to bring that balance back with some more hits. And LaGrange and the Sharp Dressed Man does just that. There's easily a volume 2 here, and the guilt's already starting to set in.
Just to add to that video real quick, I wonder if the boys from ZZ Top ever saw that video, because that should be like its own meme. with that dude just flailing around. I mean, ZZ Top loves their humor, so I'm hoping that they ever see that video at least once.
I would even say if they did, I would bet money that Frank Beard would step off the kit and let him up on stage to play it with them for a night. How fun would that be?
I completely agree with you. For one night, to have that dude play with Billy and now Elwood Francis, that would be a sight to behold right there.
Amen.
And real quick, I'm happy that you added Sharp Dressed Man, because Sharp Dressed Man, I really debated between that and LaGrange to put for this mixtape tonight. So I'm really happy.
Oh, good. Dude, we had some ESPN going on there then.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
Yes, I love that. I love that a lot. So Sharp Dressed Man is obviously one of the songs that means a lot to me. It's one of the songs that I got into ZZ Top with also. And I haven't really worn that many suits because the last time I wore close to a suit was when I was in Air Force Junior ROTC in high school. We had to wear the dress blues back then. So I think the next time I wear a suit, I have to make sure I blast Sharp Dressed Man when I enter a room. So, because obviously it's a stellar song. And I'm surprised that song wasn't bigger on the Hot 100. But then again, a lot of big stuff was going on in the early 80s. So I'll have to make sure to keep all that in mind. So I'm happy you brought that in.
Well, David, we have talked a lot of 80s. Yes, we bounced 79, 90, but this side definitely leaned in a lot more than side A did. We are throwing ZZ Top listeners, we're taking them on a ride tonight. Ooh. And you get the honor, the pleasure, or the horror, depending on how you look at it, of closing out tonight's mixtape. What are we ending with tonight?
To close out this mixtape, I couldn't think of anything else to close it out but to pay tribute to a good Texan, the late great Dusty Hill, with his signature tune from Fandango, another one of the band's biggest songs. And I am baffled they did not even pull this out when I saw them. Granted, he's not alive with us anymore, but then again, even if they used that last audio recording, I would have been okay because I wanted to hear Dusty sing. So we're going to close out this mixtape with the closer off Fandango. He's just looking for some tush.
Yes, thank
you. We have to do it. Now, in terms of the 6-pack remix, I think I grew up with the 6-pack version of the song more than the actual studio version because I remember that guitar slide, that one guitar slide that they added in right before the first solo. That's on the 6-pack version, not the actual studio version. So that's probably the version that I grew up with more. Now, we talked about the awful drum sound on that 6-pack remix, but I don't hate the beefy guitars or the reverb guitars. So, but other than that, a great riff from Billy Gibbons, Dusty Hill, fantastic voice. Paying shout out to Dallas, Texas, which is I live close to Dallas, Texas. I'm about maybe a good 20 minutes away from Dallas. Great slide work from Billy, from the Reverend Billy G. I mean, man, we have to end this mixtape with a tribute to Dusty Hill. So rest in peace, Dusty.
David, I am so thankful. I literally felt like I know David enough that if I go with Sharp Dressed Man after LaGrange, he will make sure to close this playlist out the only way that you should close it out, with Tush. I was debating going back and forth, do I do Sharp Dressed Man? I have faith. I have faith that David Lee Smith will go with Tush if I pull a Sharp Dressed Man in the 9 slot. Thank you. Reached number 20 on the Billboard US Hot 100. VH1 named the song the 67th best hard rock song of all time. Personally, I'd go a little higher. I talk about my cover versions. In 1990, Joan Jett covered it on the Hit List CD. In 2002, I know I brought up the Sharp Dressed Man. I'm a big country guy. I know I love my country. That Sharp Dressed Men, a tribute to ZZ Top. Kenny Chesney covers it, and he does a great job. But my favorite cover, even though the Joan Jett version slaps, in 2011, Grace Potter on ZZ Top, a tribute from Friends, she slays it. absolutely slays it. What a perfect way to close out side B, which kicked off with Gimme All Your Lovin' from Eliminator, My Head's in Mississippi from Recycler, Tube Snake Boogie from El Loco, Velcro Fly from Afterburner, Dirty Dog from Eliminator, Manic Mechanic from Diguelo, Doubleback from Recycler, Grange from Tres Hombres, Sharp Dress Man from Eliminator, and Tush from Fandango. Head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page. David, it's a blast as always. First, and as always, thank you for being a part of the Patreon Mixtaper family. And once again, thank you for joining me tonight on My Weekly Mixtape.
It's been a pleasure. Always a pleasure with you, man.
And remember, you could find My Weekly Mixtape on almost all the social media haunts at My Weekly Mixtape. You can also head to myweeklymixtape.com to check out the full catalog of My Weekly Mixtape episodes. And if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or like David, becoming a Patreon Mixtaper at patreon.com/My Weekly Mixtape. There you can get ad-free episodes of the show, chime in on future topics, and so much more. That's all for this week. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, enjoy the tunes.